the night.
The Materialists.
A material.
Have you seen it?
No.
Do you mind if I say spoilers?
Please spoil it. I'm very curious. I'm very curious because I'm definitely not going to watch it. This is not my kind of movie. Mm-hmm. But I want to know things because from what I understand, it's a very complicated movie. It is not what the marketing made it seem it was.
What do you mean? What was the marketing?
So the marketing was very heavily pushing this. Okay, really fast. We're going to talk full spoilers on The Materialist. Mm-hmm. Phil will give his general spoiler-free thoughts, but I'm going to say something that might bug people. But if you listen to anyone's review, non-spoiler review, you probably heard this. From what I understand, this movie is not just your standard love triangle. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more happening that this movie is trying to say. It makes just this generic like love triangle concept and changes it and makes it very deep and complex, which is what I forgot what's the director's name. She did Past Lives.
Celine Song.
Yeah. It's just what she's good at doing. She's really good at taking love stories and making them a lot more complex than what they seem to be. How do you think this movie did it? Give us your take. What do you think?
All right. Just to repeat, this is going to be a spoiler review. I think that Celine Song took a mature route on showing us a love triangle. But I don't even think it was mainly about the love triangle. To me, the movie was mainly about dating, relationships, dating apps,
self-worth.
And self-worth. Definitely self-worth. But I love, like, Dakota Johnson, I think, did actually a really good job in this movie.
Really?
Like, the character she played and how she was supposed to be, it made sense. Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans, I thought they did a very good job as well, too. The acting was really good. The script was very good. I think that the thing that really had me so interested, because I talk to so many people, guys, I'm an observation type person. Like, when I see things, I always wonder about it. Like, if I see a certain action happening or even just the environment, like with people, I'm always interested in that. So this movie very, very much felt like that. Like, to me, it was an experiential movie. It was like you're going to sit down and you're going to watch how these people react in the world of love, dating, and relationships. And I thought it was really cool. I was like looking at different manners, looking at different like vibes that they were getting in certain aspects. But the coolest thing to me was Lucy's like monologue about what she believes dating is. Because her job is, she's a matchmaker. Her job is to set people up, whether they're high class or low class, I believe. I think it's probably high class, but her job is to set people up. And there were so many compilations there were 2 or 3 compilations in the movie where she's interviewing people on what their type is, what they like, and a lot of them were ridiculous. A lot. But when I've talked to people about dating, that's how it is.
Like your perfect person.
Their perfect person or what they're looking for. They'll be like, yeah, I want somebody fit. Yeah, I know I'm like 40 or 42, but I want somebody who's older. And then she gives the number. Because the guy, I believe, dated a 22 or 23-year-old, and he was 42 or 40.
Dope.
Yeah, and then so he's like, I want somebody older. So then she instantly had somebody. She's like, well, I know you're 42, but this girl, she's really nice. She's 31. And he's like, no, I want somebody, just a little bit more younger. And she's like, oh, no, she said 39. And he winced on that. So then she said 31. And then he goes, I was thinking more in the 25 to 28 range. And then she was like, but that is realistically how a lot of people are sometimes. They'll be so weird. Dating's just weird. So I like how they showed that through those different people she was interviewing. And like, there was a funny thing where she's like, this black woman's giving her like type and what she wants. And she goes, let's be realistic here. I don't know in New York if I'm going to find a black conservative lesbian in this place. We could try New Jersey, and I was like, if we're being for real, that's true. Like you're probably
it's
not
like an ultra. Like it's the problem with dating is like people always have these very like ultra specific like qualifications.
Yeah.
That they think is going to give them their ideal person.
Exactly. And I feel like the cool thing is we're experiencing this through Lucy because she is our real life dating app.
Yeah.
She is the matchmaker that people are going to and because she is the expert. And she's trying to set people up, which in a way she kind of is. But the point of the movie is she sees love as, or even just dating as a business proposal. She sees it as math. And I thought that was really cool because I'm like, how is she going to change? Because she sees it as, this is just numbers. This is how it works. She always brings that up. She's like, the math works, the numbers work. You guys are a perfect couple. And so later we experience her love triangle, I guess. And it was a very mature love triangle. It wasn't like a, well, she's mine. No, she's mine. It wasn't over exaggerated or over dramatic. It was more like she's with this guy right now, but then her ex comes in and is back in the picture, but there's no like fight. There's no controversy. It's more like she's trying to figure out what she's feeling and how things certain are. Because they show us a past that she's a part of, or that she was with her ex, and how she was and how she looked at things. And then obviously they're not together, so she's changed. She's way more into love is numbers. Like, that's my job. Like, set up the people for numbers, so that's how I'm gonna experience it. So with Pedro Pascal's character, Harry is the perfect match at that time for her. Because Harry is a businessman who thinks numbers as well. So that's one thing I also loved about this movie. There's a scene where, through the whole movie, when he, well, actually, let me start like this. She goes to a wedding because she set these two people up and they're about to get married. And she is talking to these 5 or 6 single women who you think she's just having a normal conversation with them, but she's actually giving a pitch for her business, how she's a materialist. And then in walks Pedro Pascal in the smoothest way possible. Like, his entrance into the movie, so good, so smooth. And I like that because that shows what type of character he is. But he walks in, camera follows him, and he stops by the bar, and he's listening to her talk about her proposal, about like trying to sell these people. And he understands that because he is a businessman. So instantly he understands the language of what she's speaking about numbers in a relationship, and he's instantly thinking, oh, she's my match. That's what I instantly thought. I was like, oh, since he's a businessman, he's thinking, but it's not true love. It's businessy. And they show that to us in later when he's trying to raise her up, which he does in a super smooth way. Reed Richards was smooth in this movie. They go on a date where really she was trying to meet with him to set him up, like she was doing for other people. But then they take us to, like, you know, they're talking, and then you think they're having the same conversation, but then they're wearing different clothes, and they do a smooth transition or a smooth edit over to a second date. And then once again, the conversation continues, and they smooth over to a third date, and then a fourth date, and then finally on the 5th date, this is when it gets real. And this is why I love Daniel Pemberton did the soundtrack on it, and he is the guy who did the soundtrack for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. There was a music, there is a soundtrack song, I forgot what it is. I think it's The Things You Do to Me or something. And it just sounds so melodic and dreamy in a way, where we were hearing this song through those 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's like you're following her get like swooped into like this trance.
Exactly. It's like she's in this zone. Well, they're both in this zone because things are making sense. And then you get to the 5th date and it just goes silent. And there's no music, but they're still talking. And then so they're talking, and then this is when Pedro Pascal says, I have a proposal. And then instantly the music comes back on. And then he's giving her a business offer in the language of like love. He's like, I think you are valuable, because she's going in talking about how, like, why do you even like me? Like, I'm not really all that good. I'm not rich. I'm like, I come from poor. Like, I don't know why you would waste your time with me. There's so many other women that the math makes sense for you to go with. And he's like, yeah, but you're valuable. I don't want somebody he doesn't want like materialistic intangibles or something. That's what he said. He said, like, I want you because there's a forever with you. Like, there's something here. You're valuable. And then instantly the music comes back on, and he's like going in, and the language he's speaking is like, oh, she's loving it. And I'm like, whoa. So that's why the music, like, she's in a trance again. Because at first it was like, I think the reason why they took the music off was because it's like, oh, now we're getting real. Like, I need to ask why the heck you're into me. And then right when he starts saying why, music comes back on. And then so they end up together, and then through the rest of the movie, obviously the ex, you're seeing what Chris Evans is on, but they're not clashing. They're really not clashing. It's more like you're experiencing how their lives are and what's going on at this certain instant. Later on in the movie, she realizes that, or something happens, and that's why I love it. You know why she's like such a math person, such a numbers person with love and relationships? So she sets somebody up, and the woman gets sexually assaulted, and instantly she just goes, wow, my equation, I set up this woman with a terrible person, a terrible man.
So then she kind of becomes like an extreme, and she like has to like.
She she becomes a person who instantly goes, man, then I don't believe in this anymore. Like, love, this is stupid. Like, if I'm just gonna set people up with terrible people, like, and then she instantly just starts thinking like she's just a terrible person, like what she did was wrong, and it just changes her view on love, changes her view on even just dating, and then she goes on this whole thing where it's like, dating's just stupid. Like, I'm just talking to children, and that's kind of what it is though sometimes. Like, there are mature people, but you're talking to children at the same time. So then, once again, when that crisis happens, she set this person up, and then now they're trying to sue the company. She is at a low point in her life. And you're thinking she's going to call Harry, but then she calls John, Chris Evans. And that's because Chris Evans knows her. This is a different type of love compared to Harry, where it's like there's a business proposal. There's no feelings there with that business proposal. She has feelings towards Chris Evans. She has feelings that, well, he has feelings too, but he understands her. So when they call, the music comes back on, and that's when I'm like, a new connection coming up. But she's still with Harry and everything, so they talk. And then once again, there's a scene that pops up of Harry and Lucy talking. And early in the movie, they're talking about this procedure, and you probably heard about it, where guys have surgery to make themselves taller.
Yeah, they break their
legs.
Yeah, break their legs, and then when like the body, and then they stretch you up, right? They put these things so when your bone rebuilds.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yep. So that's a procedure that they say Harry had in this movie, and they reveal that, and then it kind of gives Lucy a realization that, oh wow, even the people,
even the
richest
unicorn,
people,
even the richest people have the most like small
they have insecurities.
Yeah.
So then she's thinking through it, and she finally realizes, like, I don't think we're supposed to be together. I think we like each other based off a business point, but I don't think there are real feelings here. And he realizes it too, because then he's like, but we're perfect together, and they're speaking their language, and she's starting to realize that. And I like how it showed us that. Like, and then later, you know, Chris Evans, they get together, yada, 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 but that it showed us a different way of him giving a business proposal. It was a little more cute, a little bit more like personal. And I just like how it showed us that. Like, this was a way more mature, experiential way.
So you think this movie captured like a, not like, oh no, I like her, like trying to take her. It was very much like, who is going to be her person for this specific point? Who does she think she needs right now? And not necessarily like Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal fighting over her.
Yeah.
It was more like, okay, she's into Harry. Wait, no, like, this isn't love. Like, I don't need this. And then she moves on to her ex.
Yeah.
And like gets back with him. It's like, so it's not really a love triangle then. That's really interesting. Like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, that's such an interesting way. Like, they're so smart for marketing the movie. Because you get people with Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans in a romantic movie together. You know people are going to go watch that. You pitch it as a love triangle, even more so. You're going to get people fighting for it in the theater. But when you get to the theater, you're like, wait, this is a lot more deep and complex and mature than I ever thought. This movie's saying more about not just love, but about like who am I, my insecurities, my self-worth. Why am I, like you said it earlier, when she's first talking to Harry, she's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not this and that, and then she realizes like, oh wait, like you also don't think you're good enough either, and you have everything. Yeah. So like I think that's a really interesting, that's probably the most interesting thing that movie could have done. Yeah. And it did it.
Well, also I'd ask, what is your definition of a love triangle? Just to ask.
A love triangle for me is when, okay, you have the girl, and she likes one guy. Yeah. But then there's also this other guy. Yeah. She's like, whoa, wait, maybe him. And then like, she's like kind of bouncing between the two of them, and she's like, maybe I like this one, or I like that one, I like this one, and then they like get into a clash. It's like, no, she's mine. For me, I think like a love triangle has to have like a climax. It has to have like some sort of like where they fight for her almost. Not like a physical fight. It could be physical. It could be like a verbal. Yeah. It could be anything. But there just needs to be that like clash. But did Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans ever interact in this movie?
They do, but they don't like, you know.
But it's not about like.
There's never anger towards each other. Yeah. It's more like respectful.
So like personally, this movie is definitely a love triangle still.
Yeah.
But not love triangle in the conventional sense. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. It's not a conventional love triangle. It's not like your average run-of-the-mill, you're watching a TV show love triangle. It's not your Riverdale love triangle. It's very much like these two people are very different, and this girl like has different feelings for them, and she kind of just like she bounces between the two of them, but at no point is she like juggling both at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Not really.
Yeah, which is cool. I like that. That's interesting. What would you give your number score?
I gave it an 8 out of 10 only because I love how this was a mature take and even like a conversation to us in a way. Like I feel like anybody can take anything out of it. Anybody could be like, "No, I didn't want her to be with Chris Evans. No, like that guy isn't perfect for him or something." But I feel like we're allowed to make that choice.
And it's also not that kind of movie. It's not like a Twilight where you're like, "Oh no, I need you to get with the vampire," or "I need you to get with the werewolf." It's like I understand why she made the decision she did for either situation.
I still feel like it kind of could be that though, because
like there's an argument, but you're not gonna have people like fighting. Like it's not like that's not what this movie's about. This movie's about not just like finding love, but it's about self-worth. It's about like what makes someone like people are gonna be perfect for each other. I'm talking about a movie I have not seen, by the way. Like it sounds like it's about people finding who they need based on who they are as a person in this moment.
Yeah.
And then as they learn more about themselves, they'll really find what they need as a partner.
I feel like this movie is about what you need. I feel like what is good for you. And also it's supposed to show you, what do you think love is? What do you think dating is? What do you think a relationship is? And I like that. I like the fact that I can ask those questions and actually look at that and be like, no, but that's not that. And another person come in and be like, no, that is that. Because that's our own perspective. That is how we look at certain things. I feel like this is a life movie or a certain aspect of life.
It's like what you think you want compared to what you really want, right? Like what you really need, sorry. It's like what you think you want, what you really need. That's like probably the push and pull, I think.
Yeah, but that's why I like this movie. It made me think. It's like, is that really dating? Like, can that be dating? Because technically, if a person has a type or if a person has something they want, technically, I mean, as unrealistic as it can be, you could still...
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but it's not what I would want. But that is what that person wants. So they can't, like, even though that person who said, the black woman who said, I want to meet a black lesbian conservative in New York, she can still want that. That is not wrong for her to want, but that, as impossible as that might be, like maybe she'll find 2 or 3, but as impossible as that is, that's still valid of her to want.
There needs to be an open-mindedness, though, when you're looking, and that's what it sounds like this movie is like.
That's what it is. I feel like it's trying to show you what the options are, like what the realistic nature is to dating, relationships, and just love.
Where do you think this movie compares to Past Lives? Have you seen Past Lives?
I haven't saved. I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
Like,
I would love to hear what you think, because do you think this? No, I know how to end stuff. Do you think this movie will be in Oscar conversation or no? Or do you think it'll just be one of those like, this is a great movie?
I was talking to Tyler and I was low-key thinking, yeah, it probably could. It probably could, because right now in 2025. The only movies, and I was looking at my list again, there might be a couple that might surprise me, but the only movies I was thinking that could be in Best Picture, even just an Oscar nomination to me, and it's still early, but all I could think of was Sinners, Warfare, and this. A part of me was thinking maybe The Phoenician Scheme, based off cinematography and everything, but I think Materialists can be in it right now, the conversation. But once again, there were films that came out in the festivals and everything that we haven't seen yet, so I'm going to wait on that. But right now, as what I've seen, I think it can be in that conversation. Nice. Sinners is my winner still for Best Picture.
That's going to win Best Picture.
Sinners right now is Best Picture.
But yeah. Anything else you want to add?
If you guys want to watch something that's going to make you think, please go watch The Materialists.
You guys want to support original ideas and stop complaining that there is no original idea.
That too.
Go watch The Materialists.